February 22, in my yard. Got petals on all of the peach trees. They're covered. And the plums. And the almonds. And in the freak late California, maybe early, maybe on time for the apocalypse, who knows, rainstorm brought so much hail, which is not the best for petals, but will survive, that it actually snowed on the hillsides across from me here. That's snow in the fields, which we are really low down in the coastal range of California. The last time it snowed here was 8 years ago, which is a freak event, and locals told us, yeah, you know, maybe once a decade you get some ghosting. It's actually been, God, that miner's lettuce down there. It's actually been snow in my yard before. Right now it is calendulas and blossoms and hailstones. But that's something that you will not ever see, or you will not see very often. The dogs don't know what to think either. Welcome to the Dirt Journal. If it's your first time here, this is a little series that we do on the Quest for Details YouTube channel. This is my property that I have been working on for the last 12 years. It's located in mid-central California in a very arid region. In this video, we're going to be doing some deadheading. It's that point in late spring when all of the flowers and all of the flowering bushes have reached full bloom, and there are waves waiting to come on, second waves, the buds that are about to open. On this property, we use a lot of the plants. A lot of the plants were put in purposefully for the point of using their blossoms, using their roots, their leaves, or whatever they could provide, or how they interacted with each other. Along with, of course, just how things are beautiful. So, on this rose bush, one of the things that I'm doing immediately is just to remove all of the blooms, all of the larger open blooms. I'm leaving all of the tight buds still. They'll open, they'll feed the bees, and then we'll take them also, because mostly we use these just for their petals, although sometimes the buds are collected to make different types of strung jewelry and garlands and stuff like that. But for tea, for soap purposes and everything else, this is about the perfect stage here. You want to get them before they wilt at all. And of course some of them will be wilted and some of them will be perfectly fresh. So as I'm going along, the ones that are a little wilted will get tossed onto the ground to become mulch and fertilizer for the plants themselves. All flowers contain a little phosphorus and potassium, so they end up being the flowering formula for the next wave. So it's good to go ahead and refeed the soil. But you can see that I'm going through and I'm clearing about 99% of all of the blooms. This will encourage a plant. This will encourage almost any plant to go ahead and grow more flowers. One of the main purposes of a flower, actually the main purpose of a flower, of course, is to provide the seed to pass on the next generation, to have offspring. So as you go along and you remove the flowers, it sends a signal that it needs to go ahead and produce more. And while it has light energy from the sun during the season and water energy, which you're going to be giving it, and hopefully nutrition from the soil, then it will continue to produce waves. And this is what's referred to as waves of flowers or waves of buds. And you can get many more waves off of your plants by doing a really consistent pruning or deadheading, whatever you want to refer to it as. So those are the roses collected. We have all these calendula through the garden. Now calendula we use them medicinally and in all sorts of different things, sometimes for washes and face rinses. They're one of the main ingredients in baby oils and stuff. Here you can see the rose. It's the whole next wave of flowers coming on. Time to do the calendula, and as we're going along, there'll be some that I've already gone to seed. So we'll set a basket there because I like to spread the seeds around. There'll already be enough in this location. So you may have heard the term well-pinched herb is a happy herb, or just well-pinched. So the reason for that is because a lot of plants, when you prune them off, will double up. So they'll have 2 blooms for every one you take off. You see here, for every 1 top bloom, there's actually 2 buds waiting to open. And again, removing that top bloom will encourage the other 2 to go ahead and open and send the signal to the plant to make lower sets even, so you can keep producing wave after wave. Here you have some already gone to seed. That's what the purple basket's for. And the seeds are actually a smaller little thing down inside there. You want to wait for them to become fully mature. So here's the next buds down on the plant waiting to go. One gone to seed, the next ones. So you can almost see all the tall ones standing up, if not for bee food, are ready to be harvested. I like to cut them really close to the fork so that the plant doesn't have a big dead ugly stem standing there. It'll make your garden look better, and it'll make pruning the next wave way easier if you don't have all of that leftover dead sticking up. Overall healthier for the plant too. These flowers, this particular type, they're an annual, sometimes a biannual, but they will put out a next wave of flowers within 1 or 2 days if they have good water and good sunshine. So you can go ahead and take almost every bloom off of here and then walk out a day or 2 later and it looks just like it did. If you were to leave these, they would go ahead and probably finish up with their 1 main wave, maybe have a secondary wave that would be much smaller blooms, and the overall plant would start to dry out and finish off, because the flowers are the final stage. It's already gone through its vegetation stage and now it's gone to its flowering, its producing of seed. And you can get 4, 5, you can get endless waves. The flowers will get smaller and smaller as the light energy decreases for the season. But letting them just go, you'll only get the 1 main wave, a secondary, and the plant will lank out. It will get lengthy and sprawl all over, end up leaning from the seed weight into other plants and be very messy. So deadheading alone, just for aesthetics and health of your garden, is a #1 main trick. Here we have our seeds. You can see the seeds are actually the littler things that are cupped inside here. You want to become a good judge of when to take your seeds. You don't want to take them too early or they will not be viable. You want to wait for them to be, they can be green, but you want them to be fully fat and about to turn tan and start to dry out. You want the seed inside to be as strong as it can. And here we have our flowers all gathered up. Let's wander through the garden and see what else there is to harvest. I have a bunch of greens and things going to seed. Oh, there's more calendula here too. Next up on our list for harvesting would be the sweet Melissa lemon balm. So it's a type of herb. It's often used as a cheaper replacement for lemon verbena in things like teas and soaps and other essential oil uses. I have a little bit of string here and some scissors, and this plant is a good example of one that's well pinched, so you can see it's kind of rounded shape that you recognize as a herbaceous plant, which has come mostly from pruning. It's very fast growing, and you can see it as a perfect example of the double starts that are ready, the new branchlets that'll grow the second that's pinched off. And if you look inside this plant and a lot of others, you'll see a tight layer down in there. That tight layer is something that you can soft eye, that you can learn to just kind of see. It's hidden at first, but when you see it, you'll realize that that's your cut line, and that's where the plant has begun to grow a whole bunch of lower shoots and lower starts that are all ready to be the top ones now. And it'll literally, you'll see a line there. It's like cutting wool off of a sheep. And you just trim along that as close as you can to the fork where the new two little branchlets will be, and try and make it as even as you can as you go across it like it was a haircut. And this will make the next time that you come to harvest way easier, because it will be a flatter surface that you're grooming along, and you can just kind of keep following that line. As we finish, this plant now will all lank up and look like it just did in about a week or so. So I'm taking the string, wrapping it around the base of each of these. They can be used in fresh teas, like an iced tea in the sun or a sun tea. It's a really, really nice tasting thing. They can be used dried, incorporated in other stuff, and like I said, it's a lemon zest for anything that you would use a verbena for. You can use the lemon balm for. It will also go to seed. The bees love the stuff. It's a perennial, so it keeps coming back. It spreads around, a little bit slower than a mint, so it's not exactly invasive, but it is something that in hot, dry weather will be lush for you while you keep it wet and while you keep it pinched or pruned. Same thing. $12 to make sweet, sweet shade in a 100-degree yard. That's a hard thing to obtain. Now, I've decided not to plant a full-on garden this year. Usually all my stuff is full, but putting energies other places and focusing on the landscape itself, as well as family and traveling and other issues. But we can find a large amount of things to forage. We'll start with these beets. These were beets that were planted late. They didn't grow at first. Now that they have sunshine, they are, but they're bolting towards the sky. So we'll go ahead and take their greens. Beet greens are good. I like them with butter and balsamic vinegar, just lightly turned in a pan, like a green, but you can also incorporate the little ones with a salad. So we'll go through the garden here and see what little things there are to gather. We have a lot of volunteers coming up and randoms that are left over, and things that we can utilize that you might not realize. This is last year's garden, and I'm leaving some of the things to seed. That's something that you can do. This is a beet. It's as tall as me, but I call them mother beets now, and they'll provide quart jars full of seeds. This is a kale. Same story. It's gotten huge, but kale blossom is one of my favorite, and it gets sweeter and sweeter if you get a little bit of frost. They're edible raw. They taste better than broccolini in my opinion, and they're just so good to toss into a salad, to, like I said, eat raw, to slightly turn in some butter and some garlic. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Mother kale. Some oregano, just a couple pinches. Oregano is almost as invasive as a mint. If you will let it go in your garden and put it different places, it'll find its niche and it'll spread around to where you have 20 feet of it, like the violets and the strawberries. At the far end of the garden here, we have last year's barrels. All the miner's lettuce is mostly gone this year, but we have some ragged leaf kale and some just different varieties of kale. We'll go ahead and take all their baby leaves off, and I think there's some miner's lettuce in here too. These two varieties are the two that I found that are highly resistant to aphids. So if you have aphid problems in your kale patches, switching variety is an important trick. Some of them have skin that are too thick, and some of them have the ragged edges that they just don't like. Some miner's lettuce in the back. We'll go ahead and toss that in. I think we'll do just a light heating on the greens and then make a salad. So we'll have a double up tonight. And the baby beets and the baby kale we can toss in as a green also. And then just some regular lettuce from the store. It's too hot up here to grow lettuce, unless you catch early spring or just before the frost and the light turns off. I'm actually north facing in a canyon. So this is our harvest. We have some calendula that we've already started a few days ago. The petals will be taken off of those and used for all kinds of different things. And this is basically just deadheading, so the plants will benefit as much as we will. The ones that we left outside now are all healthy. They know what to devote their energy to. They've gotten a signal to regrow their seeds for the season. The sweet smell of roses. Don't forget to stop and smell the roses. Arrangement, taking a moment to enjoy the aesthetics of the whole thing. It is really good mental health. Our seeds. We'll spread those other places where they're not already growing. The greens. We have an abundance of good nutrition for the evening. And then the sweet Melissa. I wish you could smell this. And that was our little wander through the yard, so thank you for joining me on that. I think that there's a little bit more at the end of this. There's some beautiful birds that came to eat from the mulberry tree. This is a mulberry tree that I put here when we first got here that was just a sprig, literally smaller than my pinky finger. And here it grows now. It's a white mulberry. A lot of people choose to have the non-fruiting mulberries, or if they're smart, a little black fruiting mulberry. This is a large white, which is kind of a rare creature. And they load up with mulberries, with white mulberry, and the birds from all around absolutely love it. I get migrators coming in year after year, the shade it provides. And these are some of the most beautiful birds that will show up, and I'm glad that they came again this year. So just tried to gather some footage of them, and we will go ahead and close out the video with that. Some birds, when they come to your trees, take one bite out of each fruit and tear it down. What I notice about these guys is you see how they're taking the time on each individual one. There's a thick stem in the middle of the berries, but they're sitting there squeezing each individual little berry on the berry, getting the juice out. That's how long he spent on just that one individual berry, squeezing everything out of it that he can get. And then they dry out on the ground, and the seed collectors come along and get those, and you won't want to find one wasted berry on the ground. Look at all that care just going and eating everything you can out of that one fruit. He's surrounded by 1,000 fruits within reach. So some birds can come and strip your tree and you find all the fruits on the ground with one bite out of each. And these guys seem to be very non-wasteful. Just drinking the nectar. One of the brightest birds that'll come to my yard too. This is the west coast in the middle of California, so we have a lot of earth and tone birds, but these always seem tropical. Thank you so much for wandering around in my garden with me again. If you've watched any of the videos from the past years, you can see how it's progressing. And changes are coming, changes come in everybody's lives. So this has been great to document it. A lot of people, I know a lot of you grow beautiful gardens and only get to share it with your loved ones and stuff. So I thank you for the privilege of being able to show you all of this. If you're still with me at the end of this very long garden video, that's also appreciated. You're awesome. And I've done these videos all these years to hopefully share anything that I know. I know it's random, but I just kind of take the lessons as they come in nature. I'm more of a forest gardener like that, so I pass it on as the chance occurs. And just appreciate you taking the time to enjoy the little details that I've captured here. I will see you somewhere else, hopefully. There's lots of different series on the channel, and I'll see you out there. Quest on!